"Japan is back," proclaimed Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in a speech in Washington, D.C. in February 2013, as he promised a more active Japan in the realms of economic and foreign policy. Japan had been in the shadow of a rapidly rising China since the turn of the century. But in the last decade, as the United States and China competed to set the rules of global economy, Japan began occupying an important position that has shifted the balance between the two superpowers. Back in the 1990s, Japan was widely perceived as a trade villain by the international community, engaging in numerous contentious trade disputes with the United States and the rest of the world. Now, just a few decades later, Japan has seemingly transformed its approach to trade, shifting from the selfish interest of Japanese industries towards a more cooperative, rules and institutions-based order. So, what drove this transformation of Japan from a neo-mercantilist trade villain to a leader of liberal, rule-based trade? My name is Saori Katada, and I am a professor of international relations at the University of Southern California. My research focuses on Japanese foreign policy and international political economy. In my book, Japan's New Regional Reality, Geoeconomic Strategy in the Asia-Pacific, I explore the underlying causes of this transformation in Japanese economic and foreign policy. To begin, it is important to consider the transformation of the regional balance of power that began in the early 2000s. With China experiencing a rapid economic rise and increased tension between China and the United States, Japan's alignment with the US-led liberal regional economic agenda created a new opportunity for Japanese regional leadership. During the last quarter century, changes in the domestic political economy began transforming Japan's foreign economic policy. Globalization reduced the reliance of private Japanese companies on the government's protectionist policy, while electoral reform and restructuring of bureaucratic institutions consolidated foreign policy making into the hands of political leaders. As a result of these regional and domestic shifts, the Japanese government has adopted a state-led liberal strategy, where the government takes on an active role in shaping formal rules and concrete business standards in the region. This new strategy leveraged Japanese influence over China, thereby shaping the regional economic governance, while also supporting Japanese business operations abroad. This transformation required a gradual reshaping of Japan's trade relations. These ranged from smaller bilateral deals, especially in protection of Japan's weak agricultural sector, to more ambitious mega free trade agreements characterized by 21st century rules such as e-commerce. As late as 2002, when the world saw a free trade agreement boom, Japan did not yet have any agreements under its belt. Finally, starting small with the first free trade agreement with Singapore that year, Japan gradually began expanding its reach. Japan's new leadership role in establishing a liberal economic order in the Asia-Pacific emerged from two large free trade agreements. One is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, led by the Obama administration. This 12-member agreement had very high standard rules for trade and investment until President Trump withdrew the United States from it in 2017. Japan, however, managed to salvage the agreement by keeping the remaining 11 members together. The CPTPP, or TPP-11, was hailed as the savior of the liberal economic order and became a major indicator of Japanese leadership. The other trade agreement is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, among 10 Southeast Asian members and 5 others, including China, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Signed in November 2020, the RCEP covers 1/3 of the world economy and is the largest free trade agreement in history. This is yet another indication of Japan's commitment to securing a free trade environment in the region. The road to Japan's liberal financial strategy has not been very smooth. While Japan has managed to establish institution-based regional order by providing emergency funding through the Chenma Initiative, an integrated regional currency seems like a faraway dream. Meanwhile, Japan has taken a hybrid approach to foreign development and aid that balances high-quality infrastructure investments with an all-Japan aid approach to compete against China for regional influence. Now that Prime Minister Abe has stepped down, will Japanese liberal regional leadership continue in the 2020s? I argue the answer is yes. The regional geoeconomic power structure remains, as does the new Japanese domestic policy-making structure, giving us reason to anticipate further cultivation of Japanese liberal strategy and leadership in the regional integration well into the foreseeable future.